Welcome to a special edition of LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and today we will be discussing diversity in film for 2015. So being the big social justice nut that I am, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make this a tradition. We're going to do some more in-depth discussions on the year in review of film for the past year. So let's just get the bottom line out of the way. Let's look at the box office and how diversity held up in 2015. Looking at the top 10 year-end box office earners, we're given a soft 2 films with a non-Caucasian lead actor. I say that this is a soft 2 because I'm including Star Wars The Force Awakens because I think overall it has a positive, diverse message, but really a white female is the lead of that film. There's not really a question for there. So, that one is mentioned but doesn't actually count. But the film that did land in the top 10 that is solid, non-Caucasian lead and has a solid, diverse big cast is Furious 7. We have, Vin Diesel, we have The Rock, we have Tyson Beckford, we have Ludacris, we have all of these characters, and then, Paul Walker represented here. And it's always been a great diverse cast. It's always shown Hollywood that a cast of many colors can do amazingly well at the box office, and Furious 7 is the biggest one yet, made over $1 billion worldwide. I mean, it just went crazy, and I wish Hollywood would pay a little bit more attention. And looking at Star Wars, I think it also sent a very good message to Hollywood. We did have a Caucasian lead, and then we had a black male co-lead, we had a Hispanic male up there, and it was all effortless. Their identity was not defined by their race was never even mentioned. They were all, or their gender, they were all just characters who happened to be a female, happened to be black, happened to be Hispanic, and they were all characters we really grew to love over the film. So I think that sent a great positive message, so I wanted to include it here. So when we expand out to the top 20 films of the year, we're given 5 soft, non-Caucasian white leads. So out between that 11 and 20 mark, we have Home, which again is very soft, pretty much right there with The Force Awakens. We had Rihanna voicing pretty much the co-lead, but not the actual lead. That was voiced by Jim Parsons. Then we have Straight Outta Compton, solidly in the camp, and San Andreas, solidly not a white lead. And then looking at the entire top 100 highest grossing films of 2015, we get a total of 16 out of 100 that are represented by non-Caucasian leads. So that number is up a little bit, just a smidge, from 10 out of 100 last year in 2014. So that is definitely a positive sign. At least it's moving somewhere into the right direction. And if you remember back, pretty much the entire month of August and part of September had black-centric films leading the box office. They came in at number 1 with Straight Outta Compton and War Room dominating the box office the entire month of August and into September. So that's also a very positive sign. However, when we start looking at other numbers and really looking at the box office, there's not much to celebrate, as diversity hasn't come as far along as maybe we had hoped, and in many cases actually took a step backwards, which is quite alarming. So when we look past the actors and actually look at the people directing the films, out of the top 100, all I could find were 3 non-white directors. So we had Ryan Coogler, who did Creed, which was a huge box office success. Everyone loved it. He's already getting calls for Black Panther. And we also have F. Gary Gray, who directed Straight Outta Compton. And we have James Wan, who directed Furious 7. So those were the only 3 non-white directors I could find. And if you notice, all 3 of those directed films with non-Caucasian leads. Pretty much Hollywood is still sending the message, if you're not a white director, you have to direct movies with your people in it. Or at least other people not white. And that's pretty disheartening. When you look at a lot of the movies in this top 100 that were counted, we're still seeing a great division. Most of these movies are playing directly to a niche audience. So heavily on this list, we have black leads. We don't see almost any Asian. I don't think we had any Asian-led films make the top 100. Very few Hispanic films. Most of the diversity we get in lead roles come from black actors. And a lot of those films that these black actors are given an opportunity to play the lead are aimed at black audiences, black movies. So that's still discouraging to me. So you see, Straight Outta Compton is clearly a biopic about NWA, about real people. So clearly, they had to be played by black actors. Concussion, starring Will Smith, just came out but already has cracked the top 100. Real story, needed to be portrayed by the right ethnicity. And then you look at things like The Perfect Guy, which are clearly aimed at a certain audience, or you have Kevin Hart in the lead in several others. He's a fan favorite, he gets in there, he pulls box office. So it's a little bit discouraging to see that. We did have others break through, we had Creed, Chappie had an Indian actor in the lead, so we do have outlying circumstances. And as I said, we had like Star Wars and Furious 7, all making a case of, look, diverse casts work. So hey, maybe the minority person isn't the actual lead, but we all can play in the pool together, can't we? We can make a great diverse cast that everyone wants to see, that doesn't play to niche markets, directed by people of color, that work. But Hollywood likes to take things even a step further than just playing to niche audiences. They get films and properties and whitewash them still in 2015. So we talked about Exodus on this video last year because it came out at the tail end of 2014 and it completely and totally bombed. Just bombed. And it happened again this year with 3 films that all bombed and all whitewashed their casts just ridiculously. So Aloha was a big one because it had Emma Stone playing a Hawaiian woman. Not to say that there aren't white people who live in Hawaii, but when you're supposed to play a native Hawaiian that is immersed in this culture, why can't you find a Hawaiian actress? I don't understand. Then we look at Stonewall. Didn't we just talk about actual events that happen that need to be depicted by the proper people? Stonewall forgot the message. They thought, hey, just because we're depicting a story about gay people and gay rights, we can forget about everybody else. We can forget that transgender had to do with it. We can forget that a lot of these activists were black. And instead, we're going to cast a fully white cast, and nobody's ever going to watch our movie because, hey, sometimes America cares about historical accuracies. Sometimes. And then we scoot on down to Pan. I was pretty annoyed immediately when I saw Rooney Mara cast as Tiger Lily in Pan. No, she's not a real character, but she is a daughter of a tribe. And it was very clear even in the Disney animated film. Disney, back when they were naming little black crows Jim Crow, that she was a Native American character. A very good one. And this film could have portrayed a great Native American character. Instead, they cast Rooney Mara. And it was made all the more egregious when you watch the movie. Realize that Rooney Mara doesn't necessarily add much to the film. She wasn't bad, but she wasn't fantastic. I'm sure others could have played the role just as well. And the majority of the tribe that she's a part of are people of color. And that's what makes it even worse. The one person out of your tribe that we're going to choose to focus on is the one white person in your tribe. That sends a terrible message and just shows how out of touch Hollywood continues to be. And the fact that, hey, there are Native American actresses out there. Maybe we should cast them. Learn from Tonto, Johnny Depp situation. Come on. Learn from Adam Sandler making a complete total fool of himself with The Ridiculous Six on Netflix and how he treated those Native American actresses and actors. And that leads to another issue of putting these situations out here in movies that could be good, but instead you just completely ignore the indigenous people of the story you're telling to focus on the poor white family. So it's happened before, and it happened again this year with No Escape, which starred Owen Wilson in our lead, and it was about, some random off Asian country that was just terrorized. And instead of focusing on all of these people who are getting killed, we're focusing on the one white family involved. We're focusing only on the white people, and none of the ethnic background characters are even given names, nevertheless, faces or character development or anything outside of just being there to be killed or to present danger or fear for our white family. And that's just discouraging that these continue to happen all the way into 2015. And as we look forward, 2016 doesn't look to be much more promising because we have Gods of Egypt coming out right at the beginning of the year with a completely white cast in the middle of Egypt. But at least Lionsgate had the wherewithal to apologize. The movie still looks like crap anyway, so I don't think anyone's gonna see it, and their apology is not gonna be very well taken. But bomb after bomb should kind of send the message to Hollywood, maybe we should stop whitewashing our films. And when we look at the awards circuit, the Oscar nominations have yet to come out, but they're not much better this year than they were last year. If you thought last year was the whitest Oscars in recent memory, you might be in for a nice surprise with this upcoming one. Because the Golden Globe nominations are out, and out of the entire field of 30 acting nominations, both male and female, we have 2 non-white nominees. Will Smith for Concussion and Idris Elba for Beast of No Nation. All of the actresses are white. And when we look at the directors, the same director is holding the flag. Alejandro Inarritu is of Hispanic descent. He directed The Revenant, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. The only director really in conversation at all. One bright spot to kind of look at was that Bollywood films made a splash. I don't know how far we can look into this because last year I was really inspired by the few Mexican films that made their way up there. And I think one did this year, but it didn't make too much of a splash. But Bollywood films have made the top 10 in box office at least 3 separate occasions this year, which is very promising and very encouraging. But overall, this was just a down year for diversity in film. We had more setbacks. It seemed like a much more contentious issue than in years previous, just because Hollywood refuses to get the point. So I'm hoping Star Wars can help push the envelope, push through, show Hollywood, hey, if you have a good movie, if you have an established property, people will come. So that has been my semi-deep analysis of how diversity fared in 2015 films. Did you agree with the points I made? Did I make any points that maybe you hadn't thought of previously? Did I miss anything? Did I miss some big, major, contentious points? If I did, please let me know in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I always look forward to having great, deeper discussions with you all about film. It's something we all love, and diversity is something that I get very passionate about. As always, I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!